Good evening and thank you so much for joining us on The Last Word tonight. My name is Sophia Wanuna. Today we focus on electoral matters, elections matters if you like, and the referee continues to be on the spotlight. That's the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. It's been months of calls for disbandment and now they're intensifying. We saw the protest last Monday, Coalition for Reforms and Democracy, accompanied by their supporters, marching to Anniversary Towers, where the IEBC has their offices located. Of course, the police interrupting and disrupting that planned sit-in. And since then, court has come out to say, in fact, in coming days, every week at least, they will sit in and march towards the IEBC offices. In fact, next week, saying they will ask their supporters from around the country to go to IEBC offices wherever it is they are. And also today, President Uhuru Kenyatta just weighing into the whole debate and saying that courts should follow due process. They should stop making noise about it and saying all these other things and just follow what the Constitution says. So this is the matter and a discussion we're going to be canvassing tonight. And we want to hear from you as well. Join the conversation online at Sophia Wanuna is where you can tweet me. So with me in studio is the one and only Kakamega Senator Bonny Khalwale, seated next to me, and also with us is Werunga. She is a program advisor on electoral governance with the Kenya Human Rights Commission. Thank you both for making time for us this evening.
Thank you.
So, Senator, let's begin with what is wrong with this IEBC? Because there's so many things we've had, not only now, even in the past year. It's not the first time we've had for calls to disband the commission, but why do you want it disbanded?
That is a very easy question, but because everybody has an opinion on it, I don't want to sound like an expert. But the bottom line is that the people don't want them. We do not want them as the opposition.
Why?
The Chief Justice doesn't want them. All the former presidential candidates, other than President Uhuru Kenyatta, do not want him. I mean, they do not want them. The workers' union at Wally, they don't want them. The religious society doesn't want them.
So you've heard from the religious society, you've heard from LSK. When has the Chief Justice made his position clear on this?
I want to go by what I picked through the media. I think he took a position yesterday, and we want to congratulate him for this.
Was it on the IEBC or was it on the picketing? Because I think, let's not mix the two issues. What exactly did you pick from the...
Yeah, it is difficult for you to differentiate the two. But when he spoke on it, it goes without saying that he meant that the attack on us on that day at IEBC on Monday was wrong. And therefore, it means that the judiciary has now been sucked in.
But you still haven't answered my question, Senator. Why? So everyone doesn't want them. Why don't you want them?
Specifically, there are many reasons why we don't want them, but we don't want to go too far in history. The nearest we can go is two major events. In fact, three. The first one is that we requested that we meet IEBC when they were launching their strategic plan as major stakeholders. They refused to listen to us. The second one is that we interpreted the Constitution and moved under Article 257 and said we want to improve on the Constitution. We looked for 1.5 million signatures. We gave them, and somebody spoke to them from Jubilee and told them tell them that those signatures are not bona fide. A joke, because the only institution in this country that has a depository of the signatures of the Kenyans who are banked are the banking institutions.
Right.
IEBC has no depository of the signatures of Kenyans. So when they pretended that the signatures were wrong, it doesn't matter that in some of the instances people signed the image of a cow, of a dog and whatnot. That was the signature of the signatory. The last thing was the way they conducted the by-election in Kericho.
Right.
We quickly realized that if we do not move away from where President Uhuru is today insisting that we go to, he wants to take us to the guillotine. He wants us to go to the National Assembly where he has got the tyranny of numbers, and then he goes back to the people and says, okay, you appealed to the National Assembly, you have lost it, and therefore I cannot form a tribunal. So we chose to go to the other route, which is constitutional. And I want to advise the Attorney General, Professor Githu Muigai, that he owes it to Kenyans that he gives the president the right advice. The president is assuming out of his statement today that we are operating outside the confines of the Constitution of Kenya. We chose not to go the parliamentary route. We have gone to Article 1 of the Constitution, which provides that the sovereign power of the Republic is in the hands of the people.
And
they can exercise it directly or through elected leaders. So we have gone to them directly. Yes.
And we'll continue with looking at how you have approached this matter and resolving it. Let me bring it to you, Carol. You've heard what the Senator has had to say as far as the issues they have with the IEBC. You're an electoral governance expert and advisor, to the Kenya Human Rights Commission. When you look at IEBC since they came into office, do you share those concerns as well?
Thank you, Sophie. First, I want to clearly say that we need to understand that elections are a political process and should be treated as such. What has happened in the past that IEBC has continuously treated election as a technical issue as opposed to a political issue. Senator has alluded to the fact that
not politicians. They should stick to
but election as it is you have to be aware that elections is a political process. Even if you are technical, you have to be aware that you are dealing with a process that it requires political input, requires political discussion, requires political dialogue. So you should be aware of that fact when you're in that office. So going to your questions about what are some of the issues and why are we hearing all these issues about IEBC and why do some people want it to be disbanded? When you look at what even the Senator has alluded to, the issue of how they manage the elections, the by-election in Kericho and also in Malindi, and also the issue of Chicken Gate. You remember we have not resolved that issue. And corruption, as we speak, is one of the key challenges that we are facing as a country. And if you look at, I would want you to look at a research that was done last year, November 2015, that said that 41% of Kenyans believe that IEBC will not do a good job come 2017. And from there, also, 63%, however, of Jubilee supporters think that IEBC will do a good job. However, 70% of CORD supporters believe that IEBC will not do a good job come 2017. One of the critical issues when you look at election is that public confidence is very critical in the management of the elections. Yeah. If you go into an election without confidence or trust in that institution, people will not believe or appreciate the results that you will announce come 2017.
Yeah, but granted what you have said, one would however argue in the event of, say, an election, the Jubilee supporters, for instance, yes, they got a favorable, they won, and the Constitution upheld, the Supreme Court upheld the announcement by the IEBC chair of the victory of Jubilee. So them favoring IEBC, I think they'll do a good job, perhaps not surprising. And also if somebody loses, would you say most people would still say, yes, we think these people will do a good job, especially after it was challenged?
But remember also, before we went to 2013, the confidence in IEBC was at 90%. Yes. Here we are talking about 41%, and that was November last year. Now you can imagine, couple that with the Okoa referendum call, couple that with the corruption scandals, couple that with what the Senator was saying, issues of management of by-election, couple that with the issues of technology that you are hearing, couple it with voter registration process that we have just concluded, the mass voter registration process. As we go on towards 2017, I can promise you that the confidence will continue dwindling to the point that we'll go with a confidence level of 10%.
Okay, so you're saying there are serious issues.
Yes.
From where you sit. So let's come to then issues, granted you both say. You have decided to approach it from what you say, going to the people.
Yeah.
While picketing is allowed and the Constitution, okays that, how about removing and rejecting these commissioners from office? It is not to appeal to their conscience to say, we think you're bad, so get out. There is a stipulated process, isn't there?
You see, the people who want to drive the country into that particular narrative want to read the Constitution through only one article. You must always attempt to read the Constitution in its entirety. And therefore, when we find that the elected leaders through whom the people have delegated the sovereign power have failed to discharge, then it is expected as a natural reaction from the people that they do it themselves. So now at the moment, the people are doing it themselves. On social media, there is the attempt to say, look, the people who were at IEBC on Monday were called saboteurs. That is a lie. It's everybody who was there. Only that, just like in a football match, when the best football country in the world goes to play, Brazil, it has got a population of 200 million people, but only 11 people play and express the finesse of Brazil. So the 10,000 or so people who came into the streets on Monday were representing Kenya. And because various shades of opinion have pronounced themselves on this issue, including what I said earlier, the Chief Justice, the Workers' Union, religious organization, the Law Society of Kenya, etc., etc. It means the few of us who were there on the streets, we are simply the courageous few who decided to do it for the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Now, we want to request the President of the Republic of Kenya, to apply the Constitution of Kenya. The Constitution of Kenya does not expect the President, through his cabinet secretaries, to now order the police. According to the Constitution, in fact, Articles 244, 245, 246, they give specific independence to the police, the Reformed Police Service Commission, to ensure that they are independent. When the police is enforcing law and order against a person or a group of persons, as we were there at IEBC, they are not supposed to be directed. But their behavior was clearly demonstrated that they were being directed to make it difficult for us to exercise Article 37, which allows that every Kenyan has the right to present a petition to any public institution. We wanted to go and present the petition that, please, IEBC, you are corrupt. We don't trust you.
So you have a petition with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Get out of office. But then the executive then breached the Constitution by directing the IG, the Inspector General, to stop us from exercising Article 38. And in fact, under the same Constitution, 244, it's very clear that in discharging their role as the police, they are supposed to ensure that the highest standards of professional discipline are exercised.
But what
they did not do this.
But what if there is looting? There's reason to believe that this is going to get disorderly. I'll give you an example. I know somebody for a fact whose phone was grabbed by who was minding their own business in town, and one of the people running, shouting, IEBC must go, just yanked the phone off of them. So if the policeman comes and says, I saw when I was trying to stop this and this other disorderly acts from continuing, what do you say to that?
That's not a big deal.
It is not a big deal.
Even in a football
breaking into
match,
shops.
in a football match, when I'm enjoying Gor Mahia playing AFC, I have several
stones flying.
Yeah, I have several lost my phones. That does not mean that law and order has completely broken down. Those are the little side shows that should not be the excuse for the police to break the Constitution.
Okay.
What is more important, Wanuna, is that we expect Kabuludi, who is in charge of the National Police Service Commission, to have instituted an inquiry into why the police misconducted itself at the IEBC. That is the Constitution, Article 246. If he's not doing it, then he's falling short of the glory.
Okay, and at this point I just want to mention that we had extended an invitation to the police service. However, they made it clear through the spokesperson who are unwilling to engage the political class, wanted to talk about law from purely constitutional law and with lawyers. So just to put that on the record, because it would have been important at this point to hear what they had to say in as far as the confrontation we witnessed on Monday. Before we go on break, let me bring you, Carol, to the question again. So there's a picketing going on. It is allowed in the Constitution. You should be able to go and express, you know, whatever frustration, whatever displeasure you have with a particular issue. But that, no matter how many times you do it, according to the Constitution, does not say so. Maybe if you do 100 times, you know, protest, now IEBC commissioners must go home. There is the procedure. Talk to us about what the law says about ejecting these commissioners from office.
Okay, Article 251, Sophie, gives grounds on how or why a commissioner, for this case IEBC, can be removed from the office. And just to mention a few, includes incompetency, issues of gross misconduct, issues of violation of the Constitution, especially Article 6, Chapter 6, of the Constitution on the leadership and integrity issues. And they also go ahead and give the process that you can actually go to the National Assembly and give out your petition that stating why you want a commissioner or commissioners to be removed from office. And after that, then the president, I think even the senator alluded to this when he started his discussion, is to come up to constitute rather a tribunal that constitutes four people. However, now the question becomes, who are those 4 people? And considering how the political scenario we have now and how Parliament, National Assembly is constituted, you will have, especially CORD supporters, feel like this process will not be fair. Because the president will come up with 4 people, who of course he will appoint himself. And those 4 people, you will have CORD supporters say, these are the people who will support him.
But are we saying the drafters of the Constitution never did envision such a situation? Because unfortunately, numbers are the way they are at the moment. So do we say because it's an inconvenience to the realities of the day and the political landscape, then we disregard?
No, I'm not saying that we disregard. But what I'm trying to say is that we also need to be aware of the concerns that people are raising. And that's why I said elections is a political process. When one of the group feels that they are not being treated fairly, what do you do? For example, the drafters, you say did the drafters envision this kind of situation? If you look even at the language, they say take it to the National Assembly. Why did they not say Parliament, for example, so that includes the Senate? Because it only goes to the National Assembly, and we know National Assembly, the way it's constituted, there's tyranny of numbers. Hence, that's why you see people like CORD supporters deciding, let's do it this other way, as opposed to going through the parliamentary initiative or any initiative that will take them to the Parliament.
So, Senator, you agree, is that the reason why you've chosen not to go that route?
In fact, I was expecting that the police would be here today so that they fault us. They tell us that we acted on you because you had started breaking the law. At the IEBC towers, the members of the public were very orderly. I was part of that public. And as we kept on demanding that, please open this gate, we want to go and present our petition, the police started rioting. It rioted on us, and they threw tear gas, and you saw it on footage. This is very unfortunate, and we do not want the police to be the Moi police that we all fought so hard to ensure that we have police reforms.
Right.
Today, Wanuna, people might laugh at us, but unless we take these preemptive measures, one can only hope that the election of 2013 will be orderly. So what we are doing, we are preempting the possibility of 2007-2008 round 2 in 2017. Today, those of us who are being laughed at, we will be the heroes who will be celebrated when Kenyans say, look, this is what they were trying to preempt. I can assure you, nobody is going to accept, as my sister has said, a result of a flawed election. Yes, there's so much at stake at the moment that we must address it, and we are not trying to create a vacuum. We are clearly saying, remove IEBC, and remember that this country has a history whereby in 1997, we had a similar situation.
Right.
We brought stakeholders in the name of political parties. They sat and appointed an acceptable electoral commission. We can do it now so that parliamentary political parties propose names of commissioners. We allow the civil society to do the same, the religious sector to do the same.
Right.
And then, because the proposals from parliamentary political parties will be perceived to be political, we can then allow the chair of that commission to come either from the religious society or from the civil society.
Yes, and we'll get to, so that is how you hope this pans out. But, and as far as your plan now not working, because the idea is to keep doing this, you know, going to the IEBC offices, is it every week? The announcement was made, I think there was a statement that every week you will go to the anniversary towers. If that does not work, then what? IEBC states put and says, we have security of tenure, there's a process to get us out of office, this is just noise, we're staying put.
For people who believe in the power of impunity, they think it will not work. But for those of us who believe in the sovereignty of the Constitution of Kenya, we know that the power of the people, the ones we have gone to under Article 1, is greater than the power of the people in power. The people in power today is President Uhuru and Ruto. They think they are more powerful than the power of the people. We are going to prove them wrong.
So you're sure it's going to work?
The history is like this, that Moi, who was more dictatorial with all the empirical powers, he tried to stop Section 2A that introduced multi-party democracy into this country. He failed. Uhuru is going to fail because he is just one of the Kenyans. The powers he's exercising now, fortunately for us, are not empirical. So we are going to remind him the way Law Society has reminded him and everybody else, and he will cover it.
All right.
For real.
For real. We will be waiting to see. You're watching The Last Word here on KTN News. Thank you so much for staying with us. Remember, we also want to hear your views tonight. We're asking, should Raila abandon the protest and pursue legal processes of reforming IEBC? Share your thoughts at Sophia Wanuna is where you can tweet me. When we return from the break, I will read some of your feedback as we continue with our conversation tonight.